Tucker Garrison, it's so awesome to have you here, founder and CEO of Imlak'esh.
Shoosh, absolute pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on, man.
Of course. And for those of you who don't know Imlak'esh Organics, Tuck, can you give a little overview of what you guys do?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks. So, we are a direct trade superfood company, and we specialize in regenerative agriculture and really the transformation of supporting small family farms. We work with about 3,000 indigenous native people around the world and source some pretty exotic superfoods. So, our keystone is a nut called sacha inchi. So the sacha inchi nut grows in the Amazon rainforest and in Thailand. And it has twice the protein of almonds or cashews, 20 times the omega 3s of salmon. And so that's really our keystone. But we source a range of different products from chocolate and cacao products to golden berries. We're pioneering another really cool nut called macambo that grows in the Amazon rainforest. And our whole thing is around organic agriculture, regenerative agriculture, doing fair trade work around the world, and then really connecting small scale farmers with customers here in the US that care about what they're putting in their bodies and then how their purchasing decisions are affecting the planet and the people that we serve.
Amazing. And for those that don't know, I gotta spend a little bit of time in the early days of Imlak'esh, doing everything from making charge boss clusters, snacks in the kitchen, to serving them up and doing samples at Whole Foods. So super grateful for that experience and the impact it's had on my own journey. Would love to dive a little deeper, Tucker, into the founding story of Imlak'esh and how this all began.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, this is really a company that's born out of passion and life transformation through food, and co-founded the company in 2012. But that journey really started long before that. And I grew up having some pretty chronic health issues, and like I had chronic migraine headaches as a kid that were super debilitating, and weird kind of like allergies and allergic reactions and asthma and things like that. And when I moved to California when I was 18, I had a huge life transformation through food. And long story short, what I came to is that I was basically being poisoned by the processed food system and all of the preservatives and colorants and sulfites and additives that are in food, and the pesticides and the toxins, that are in, Roundup and all the other things that are in our food. And so when I transform my diet, I transform my health. I haven't had a migraine headache in 12 years. And I don't take any prescription medication. I'm fully just transformed and healed my body through food. And so that journey that I underwent, when I met my partner, who's both the co-founder of Imlak'esh and my life partner, Philip Matthew, what a gem. I wish he was here with us today.
Do a part two with Phil.
Yeah, part two with Phil. Uh, you know, Imlak'esh was born, and if I back up a little bit further, around 2010, 2011, I can only describe it as this calling in my heart, just like pull down to Peru. And so I basically, around that time, I kind of threw my life to the wind, and I quit my job, which I loved, and I broke up with my partner, who I loved, which, spoiler alert, is Philip Matthew. And I moved to Peru on a one-way ticket in a backpack. And I wasn't sure if I was coming home. I've had the incredible privilege to sit at the feet of a lot of indigenous nations around the world and learn from the old ways. And when I went to Peru, I had another kind of layer of transformation and realization that my purpose and the purpose of Imlak'esh was to be this bridge, right? And there are literally millions of small family farmers around the world that get mistreated because of commodity prices, because of the way that the capitalist system tries to drive prices to the bottom and take advantage of people. And so what we did was to again build this bridge. And so I literally tromp around in the jungles of Ecuador and in Peru and Thailand, and you see me right now. This is like my best attempt at cleaning up But really, my happy place is, in the jungles of the Amazon rainforest. And I've spent probably 3 years of my life at this point living with no running water or electricity in different villages and communities. And so we literally source direct trade from thousands of small family farmers. We have an incredible network of companies, co-ops, associations we work with. But really, that journey in Peru, to answer your question, it just sparked this kind of final light and pushed me over the hump. And Imlak'esh was born, and 8 years later, here we are.
So you came back home from that trip, and what was the process like? Like, were the products that you have today, the Sacha Inchi, the golden berries, were those the products that you were selling? If I recall, it was something like a superfood nut butter that you guys got started with.
Yeah, it's funny because in the early days of running a company, when your strategic kind of direction isn't solidified, all these little opportunities start whispering in your ears. And I'm sure you know that with JOON and what you're doing, that 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 happens. And so at one point we were like making nut butters, we were doing trail mixes, but that core was there. And so all I can say is that we didn't really know how hard this was, so we just did it, and we actually launched uh, 20 different retail products in the first 7 months that we were in business, with no funding, no outside capital. So we bootstrapped the company with $10,000 to begin with, and basically threw in all of our life savings and then some other money, and yeah, really grew the brand organically. And we were working out of like a shared commercial kitchen. We still, I think, our claim to fame is we had the smallest certified organic facility in the history of California, or maybe even the U.S. It was 110 square feet, so that's a 10 by 11-foot room that was certified organic.
Yeah.
That's how committed we are to product integrity in the early days.
Yeah, and I still like if I'm having a nice meal with friends and they're like, "How did you become so crazy and weird around food?" Sometimes I'll like go onto my phone and find your Kickstarter video from back in the day where you guys actually I thought it was super well made where you talk about a little bit about the story and the your small little warehouse, and it's amazing to see where you guys came from and where you guys are going. What would you say are the 2 to 3 most important or pivotal decisions you made in the process, other than partnering with Philmat outside of the business, in order to that has driven your success so far?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really good question. You know, I think that first one is and it may sound cliche, but the reality of it is anything but, which is marching to your own drum and knowing what you need to be doing and not worrying about what other people think about you or what the kind of status quo of an industry is. And so we've really walked into uncharted territory in terms of we are literally pioneering two functional foods in the US that have never been brought to the United States before, the Sacha Inchi nut and the Macombo bean. And the sourcing behind every single one of our products has a uniqueness to it. And I could spend the next hour going into that uniqueness, but just a couple examples. We managed to source the only certified organic spirulina grown in South America. So spirulina typically comes from China. There's a huge amount of consumer distrust, and we have created an exclusive partnership with our growers down in South America for our spirulina. And so I think that decision to just say no, we're not gonna just succumb to the status quo and just do has been what we're told we need to do has been really, really key. Um, Another really important decision, which is hard to think about where we would be now, is we chose early on to kind of run a bootstrapped company and to run the business on our own investment, our own profit, and then to raise debt capital rather than going out and raising equity funds. And what we wanted to do, it wasn't that we never wanted to raise equity, it was that we wanted to build this strong ethical foundation and build a multi-million-dollar company in a different way, so that when we went out to raise kind of equity capital, that we would have this strong foundation, this base, and we're actually in the middle of raising our Series A right now. It's a $3 million round, so excited about that, and it's amazing to see the kind of impact partners that are coming in that are really focused on how many acres of rainforest are you reforesting, as much as they care about what our top line revenue is. So that's been a really important decision. And I think that third decision is just having a super kick-ass, lean, smart team, that's running the show, and really focusing on what we do well. And it's been a learning process over the last 8 years to say no to the things that aren't actually serving the people that we serve in terms of our farmers and our customers, and also the brand. So we're really, really heavily, we made some tough decisions, and we're heavily focused on growing our e-commerce business and our brick and mortar right now, and really focusing with our customers on sharing with them the value of what we do, not just nutritionally and health wise for the customer, but also how, again, that decision is planting trees, supporting people of color, supporting women farmers, indigenous communities around the world. And that's the reason we exist, is this kind of virtuous cycle of making the world a better place. And we're certainly not perfect. We got a lot of work to do, my friend.
Yeah, one of the most fun parts of for me of working with you guys was sort of like you're out of the different unique part of customer acquisition, or even just like, if you want to not get as technical, like community building, going to events and festivals and really getting in front of people, sharing the stories, having them sample these things. And I'm curious, like, now that the in-person element has become maybe less of a focus, I don't think you guys do as many events, especially in these times.
Yeah.
How has the process been like, of like trying to find new ways to tell your story and make sure that the why is resonating with the end consumer?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and I think very pointed for the time, since we are having this interview in the midst of COVID-19. It's been a challenge. I mean, first off, doing festivals and events is like this huge celebration of our community. Whether it's an LGBT pride event or a music festival or a health and wellness expo. And, I'll be frank, there's no replacement for that. And I'm excited for the day when that happens. And everybody pay attention, because we got some fun stuff coming your way as soon as this comes out. We're revamping that area of Imlak'esh right now. So
Can't wait.
We'll be ready maybe late summer 2021. No promises. We'll see how the world goes. But we are really focused, and you'll see in the coming months a huge amount of new content. And whether that's podcasts, articles, we're doing way more video content. So we're really trying to take people inside the story of our sourcing and to see our farmers. And so if you check out our website, imlak'eshorganics.com, we just published a video a couple months ago called Journey Towards Regeneration. And that's really highlighting some of our sourcing, particularly around the regenerative cacao that we work with. And just trying to inspire and take people inside the lives of the people that we work with and what we're all about. So, look out for more video content in the coming months. And I think that that's really the best way to transport people.
Yeah, video and having other unique ways of like getting people telling the story, I think, is vital. I was also going to throw in the grab and go product you guys recently put out. So for those that don't know, your superfoods have typically been in, like, this is actually one of the 16-ounce jars that I reuse for water. It's like the half jars, but you guys are now moving into something much quicker that you can grab at the aisle when you're checking out at the grocery store. What was the process and the story behind like bringing that product to market?
Sure. Yeah, I actually didn't know you were gonna ask about that. I have a couple of them like sitting next to me, so I'll show you what they look like.
Yeah, I just grabbed the golden berries at the co-op in LA.
Nice. Yeah, so these are the new pouches. We just launched them earlier this year. And so we are fiercely anti-plastic. And so if you notice, these are flexible pouches. These are 100% compostable. They're made from plants. And the pouch is plant-based. And so really, really cool. And it took us about 3 years to figure out how to do that. Some more work to be done. But, I think that all of you listening, if you're into superfoods, into this lifestyle, it's active lifestyle. It's like you're surfing, you're biking, you're hiking. I mean, I'm a wannabe big wave surfer and a free diver and a triathlete on the side. And so, having that ability to just throw something in your bag and go and know that it's like the absolute optimum nutrition, and that you making that decision isn't just bringing more plastic into the world, that was huge. And so we launched our Sacha Inchi nuts, the golden berries, our Charge Boss clusters, which is like a cashew, cacao, maca cluster, and a new product actually, which I'm really excited about. It's a 70% sugar-free cacao wafer. So it's a keto cacao product. It's made with our regenerative cacao, and it's actually sweetened with monk fruit. So it's the only organic keto product sweetened with monk fruit on the market.
Tucker, you've brought up the word regenerative agriculture a couple times, and I know some people have geeked out on that. There's now Netflix movies from Kiss the Ground to the farm, the Biggest Little Farm there, where they talk about regenerative agriculture. But for those that don't know, can you give a little overview of regenerative agriculture and how you discovered it, and then how you went about even bringing those practices into your product and supply chain?
Sure. Yeah. So, regenerative agriculture, to me, it's really the future of the way humans are going to have to grow food on this planet. And it's very exciting and efficient process. So, before I answer that, the UN Development Program, which is a pretty conservative body and very highly regarded, says that we have 60 harvests left of growing food the way that we're growing it, which means in 60 harvests, 60 years, we will have no more topsoil on the planet that can support agriculture, which effectively means like the end of human civilization. So, and I'm not a doom and gloom guy, but it's just, that's the reality we're living in. And so regenerative agriculture is a response to agriculture that works with nature to improve or regenerate places from their current condition into a better state. So, it's a long conversation, but think about going beyond organic into improving the soil and the health and the quality of the soil. And there's so much work being done in the world to educate the population about the importance of the microbiome within the own body in terms of the gut microbiome. And there's a direct relationship between the gut microbiome and the soil microbiome, which watching Kiss the Ground's new movie is a really, really great kind of course in the microbiome of the soil and of people. But, if you can imagine, I'll just give you a quick example. Cacao or chocolate is typically grown in these big monocultures, right? It's just one cacao plant. It's grown in full sun, and it just destroys the rainforest. People basically slash and burn, cut down the rainforest, and grow cacao. That's a very degenerative model of growing cacao for chocolate production. What we do is actually a system called agroforestry. And so the regenerative cacao is actually grown within the shade of the rainforest. And so instead of there being one species, maybe there's 20 or 30 different species of plants growing within this system, including other food and medicinal plants. And we're actually increasing the canopy cover of the rainforest. We're improving the quality of the soil. We're stopping erosion of all the soil that's flushing to the ocean down the rivers when it rains. And we're actually bringing the wildlife back in terms of, monkeys and large cats and all of the different pollinators and all of basically these essential elements to life. And not only are we doing that, but by improving the microbiology of the soil, we're improving the gut microbiome of people. And so, again, it comes back to this virtuous cycle of how each different piece and the decisions that we make are connected to the other decisions that we make. So, in short, to me, what regenerative agriculture means is it's really this continuum of improving a place. Basically, when you show up, did you leave it better than you found it? And is it continuously moving in that direction towards its kind of apex potential?
There's so many places I want to jump off to, but I think what's coming up for me, Tucker, is understanding you as an individual and how, you mentioned a little bit about your health journey and how it kind of like drove this transformation and drove this purpose and why, which I think is incredible. But also, I'm curious to learn a little bit more about how your own health has evolved, how your own wellness practices have evolved, and what you do today in order to make sure that you're supported, taken care of, supercharged to do all the things that you want to do as a company and as a brand.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question, and I aspire to write a book and to do my own series about full cycle wellness. So, you know, I think the biggest there's kind of there's really two pillars to me of wellness, and within it there are so many aspects, and everybody has to figure out exactly what works for them. There is no kind of prescriptive model of what is going to make you well, and I want to be really clear about that. But there's something so crucial about food and nutrition and the well-being of making sure, again, that your gut microbiome and then the nutrition that you're getting is at its optimum, right? And there's kind of like a baseline, and then there's like hitting the thrive point of like having boundless energy, sleeping incredibly well, feeling like your body is fully nourished with all the things that it needs. And that's really what superfoods and functional foods are all about. So there's, again, coming back to those two pillars, I'll kind of say them and then jump into both. One is around food and superfoods and nutrition, and the other one is really around mindfulness and kind of body care and exercise. And for myself, I find that if I can get a pumping heart rate 5-6 days a week in some fashion, I'm just a way happier person. So that could be, going on a run for a sprint. It could be doing 100 push-ups. It could be going surfing if you like to bike or rock climb. But, even if you have a small apartment, again, you can do like a HIIT training workout or something like that. But just getting that, I call it pressure washing the veins, right? Is just pressure wash your veins 5-6 days a week. So that's a really key point. And then mindfulness, some form of meditation practice, yoga practice, qigong, tai chi, capoeira, like take your pick. Again, there's no right philosophy, but the one thing I guess I'll say there is what I've learned through my own meditation and my own exercise practice is the difference between yoga and exercise is breath. And so if you're in a practice of consciously breathing, then you're in a practice of yoga. And if you're just doing your thing and exercising, then that's just simply exercise. And they're both good. It's just recognizing that there's a time for that mindfulness practice and there's a time to really send it on your bike ride. And if you can pair the two together, it's a beautiful thing. So that's one half. And then the other half is around food and nutrition and wellness. And, I actually I push it pretty hard. I work like between 10 and 14 hours a day, 5 or 6 days a week, and living a super busy life. And so, when it comes to wellness, eating the right diet is really important. I'm a huge believer in the plant-based diet. I while I think that veganism and being plant-based is really important, and I absolutely support it, and I'm a part of it, I also can support people just eating a lot less meat and eating a lot less animal products. I think if we all could consume 50% less animal products, we'd probably be healthier and the planet would be in a better state. But for me, a couple things if that I would encourage you to try is try not drinking caffeine for 60 to 90 days and really letting your adrenal system reset, and using other superfoods like maca, potentially cacao, which has a little bit of caffeine in it, spirulina, and I've really been getting into a ketogenic diet and medicinal mushrooms, like cordyceps and reishi for periods of time. So I'm a big believer in reducing carbs and really systematically kind of removing grains from your diet wherever possible. There's a lot of research that shows that they contribute to Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, degenerative diseases, and Mark Hyman obviously being a super famous guy that's a leader in that space. So, really in summary, I want to come back to these two pillars, which is you have this wellness, mindfulness, exercise practice, and then you have right eating, which involves eating an organic diet, mostly plant based, as kind of paleo as possible, and those two pillars, along with getting 8 hours of sleep or whatever works for you in terms of restfulness, but somewhere between 7.5 and 9 hours of sleep, um, really helps. It's super hard in the world we live in too, but if you can get on a regular sleep schedule and be in bed before ideally 10 p.m., whatever your time zone is, I think that contributes to a healthy kind of circadian rhythm. So yeah, those are kind of the key elements that have been, you know, crucial to my well-being. And again, like I push it pretty hard. I mean, I rarely kind of slow down except for that morning yoga practice, which I do every single morning. I've 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 done a soul stretch every morning for probably 12 or 13 years now.
Wow.
So, first thing when I wake up in the morning.
And I know some of the brands that you guys have like kind of brought, or part of Imlak'esh's brand family. A lot of amazing companies, companies like Guayaki, Dr. Bronner's, uh, Sambazon, Numi Tea. Are there any products that stick out to you in terms of new things that you've tried or experimented with that have like had a nice push or positive impact on that journey?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel incredibly blessed and grateful to get to, kind of sit at the feet of giants and to, call them both friends and mentors. The folks, many of the brands you mentioned, like Dr. Bronner's and Numi Tea and the Guayaki and Salmazan crew. So, um, I think that the kind of use and incorporation of some of their products, like for example, making a unsweetened acai bowl with Samazan's acai, and then topping it, throwing maca and cacao in there, and then topping it with charge bus clusters and sachinchi from the Imlak'esh line is such a great thing to do. And certainly pairing that with the yerba mate guayaki gourd, after washing yourself with Dr. Bronner's soap in the shower, it's like, again, I think it comes back to this virtuous cycle where if you can connect each aspect of the decisions that you're making in your life to realize to not be producing toxins, not be producing plastic, and to be making purchasing decisions that are positively impacting first and foremost your well-being, then it will positively impact the well-being of other people. And so, you know, I see in the world, especially in our generation, the kind of younger generations, people really getting the connections between their toothpaste and their shampoo and the food choices they're making and the clothing they're putting on their body, and kind of like really recognizing that all these different pieces are connected.
How do you make sure that your employees are taking care of themselves? Like, how do you support employee well-being at Imlak'esh? There's you as a leader, and then there's like making sure that everyone, if they're moving at 100 miles per hour, is taking the time to keep their cups full.
Absolutely. Yeah. And especially during COVID, I think um, the first most important thing is just to run a human organization, right? And really see people as people and as unique individuals, and understand what their specific needs and situations are, um, as individuals, and being flexible and understanding. It's like setting strong expectations and goals in terms of their performance and them showing up, and also recognizing that if they need to do something between 2 and 5 in the afternoon, and they hop back on and get their stuff done, it's great. And so I think that a lot of stress for people comes around from employers and people being inflexible with them. And so we really strive to be super flexible with our staff. And we're basically, I mean, pretty much everybody's in Santa Barbara except for a few people. And we definitely, in non-COVID times, gather and have regular in-person events and everything. But allowing people the freedom to work remote is also a key aspect. And then, we offer all of our staff free superfoods, all the different products we have, and then they get, a lot of discounts and kickbacks through different programs and connections we have with other brands and other platforms that we work with, to make sure people have access to the type of wellness products. And normally, during non-COVID times, everybody also has free access to a yoga studio here in town. Again, coming back to those pillars of food and mindfulness, is a huge, is to me, again, that belief of creating holistic wellness.
Yeah, working for you guys, I can vouch for it. It really felt like a family, and that has influenced our own culture at JOON, and a lot of what I look for also outside of like my work time is like just having, I think, as another pillar, just having a strong community and friends and people with shared values. So thank you, Tuck. You're awesome. Looking at the future of Imlak'esh, and also just like what you're most excited about when you think about the future of regenerative agriculture, and you think about the future of superfoods, what comes to mind for you?
Well, this philosophy of regenerative agriculture and these practices, they're really gaining steam, and there's a huge amount of capital and interest. I mean, literally from the United Nations, all the way down, that's really flowing into this space right now. And so, you know, as a visionary leader, with some pretty big ideas, I'm stopping nothing short of the transformation of global agriculture on this planet, and the preservation of our home planet and the human species. So that's my goal. Like that's my bar. And we're currently impacting about 25,000 acres of land around the globe, and our goal is to get that to 250,000 acres of land. So it's a lot of land, and and to really be an inspiration and a guiding light for other companies, nonprofits, and government organizations that want to go down this path of improving the places that they interact with, and creating regenerative models within communities and within agriculture and business overall. So we're really excited for the future. We think that it's bright, and you just have to keep shining your light, and people will show up to the party.
I love it. Yeah, and that's something else I took away from you guys. Is just I think you told me early on that you were like an activist in college, and were just always a fighter. And then one day you woke up and you're like, instead of going against the grain, why don't I just start a better party and make this all fun and have people join the party?
Yeah, I think you just said it best. I truly believe that there's a place for protest and activism, nonviolent, and to show our dissatisfaction with the status quo and to change things in that way. But what must be a part of that in this kind of other piece is showing the path forward. And again, as I said, shining that light, and throwing the better party, because the best way to get people on board is to have them feel better, have a more vibrant life, be having more fun, and generally enjoying themselves more with the model that you're putting out in the world, and then things will change. And so we're a huge believer in having a lot of fun, and we're super serious and sober about the challenges and the difficulties people deal with in the world, especially in the communities we work with. And I'm certainly no stranger to spending a lot of time in a lot of tough and rough places around the world. But we can, one decision at a time, really improve the lives of people. So it's a huge honor to be on that journey, and I'm grateful to have so much support, amazing mentors around me, and I'm grateful to have you, be part of the early journey of Imlak'esh, and to just maintain an amazing connection and friendship over a lot of years. And yeah, super excited about what you're up to with JOON and everything there as well.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Tucker. For those of you who don't know and haven't heard of Imlak'esh Organics, please check them out. Their website on Amazon, at a Whole Foods or Sprouts Market near you, and eat some good food and enjoy.
Thanks, Shoosh. I'll talk to you soon, brother. Be well.
Thank you. Thank you. Looking forward.